everybody. How you doing? It is Lenora from It's a New Dawn. I'm back again. Now, you guys, you know that right now I'm on a roll. I have to say, I have been actually putting out a podcast almost every day. I don't know, I don't know how long that's going to last. If you or somebody else, would like to be a guest on the podcast, just all my information is below, my number, my email, my website. So you definitely can contact me and we can chat about it, because that would be great. But right now, I'm honored to be not sitting directly with, but a beautiful woman, Stephanie Brown, right? Stephanie Brown,
Yes.
1975, from TikTok, people. Everybody has been from TikTok. She is in Canada. I'm in Jersey. So just a FYI before we start, we both live in the wilderness. So the connection, I'm praying to my angels that it works out and that we don't have any disruption. But I know you guys are a great audience. So just be patient if I have to kind of get her back on track. But anyway, I met Stephanie. I didn't meet her personally, obviously, but I was very gravitated to her on her TikTok because of the fact that she is extremely real, a little nutty like me, very weird like me, and I love that. I just love it. She's just sweet, but not sweet. If you get what I mean, a little spicy, a little not, but but obviously all these people that I have been sitting with, I don't know them. I really don't. You think you know somebody, they're on social media, but you know what? In real life, you really don't know the pain, the struggle, the real life. But you know what? Stephanie kind of brings that out in her TikTok. She's very real. And like I said, I really love that about her. And I think you're really going to get something out of this talk. So as usual, what I'm going to do is just turn the camera over to Stephanie and take it away, Stephanie.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me with you today and with your listeners. I'm honored. I really love how you described me, because it was right on. It was right on. I'm straight to the point. I'm blunt. I don't mess around. And it's funny, like my background, I actually had the privilege to go to Holland 5 years ago to understand why I'm so blunt, is because even if you're not first generation immigrant, the tendencies follow through the generations. And so I tell it like it is. And that seems to be very much part of my family. I am 45 years old. I live in a city called St. Thomas, Ontario, which if I'm driving is 3 hours. If my husband's driving, it's 2.5. So just to give you some sort of point of where, a lot of people in the world know where Toronto, heard of Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And something funny about me is I grew up in farm country, agriculture. I actually grew up in a little village called Merlin. It's Merlin. The closest place to that, again, everybody's listening from everywhere, so maybe these places don't make sense, but I am in Merlin, probably 3 hours to Detroit. So to give you so one of the funny jokes is you are who you are and I am who I am, and we just don't see how other people see it. And I grew up where I grew up. If you wanted a job, you hoed beans, you picked tomatoes, you picked strawberries. And the joke is I bought my first car with my tomato picking money.
Hey, that
Um,
sounds like a good job to me.
yeah. And so I lived near the border. Windsor, Ontario is, you cross Windsor over to the States. The border's right there. I listened to American radio, and so I get asked a lot what my accent is. And I don't always hear an accent, but I get teased by my husband because apparently Canadians say America, and I say American. I just,
Okay.
you
It's
combine,
funny. People keep saying you don't have a Jersey accent. You don't like. I
right,
do lives. I do lives on
right,
TikTok.
right,
People,
right,
this will go right over your head if you don't do TikTok. But I do. They're called lives, and
right.
you just push a button, and people come join you. And I've had at least 10 people say, "You're from Jersey. You don't sound like Jersey." And I've been here all my life, 55
Wow,
years. So
interesting,
I don't know.
interesting. So I listen to American radio, and also, like still, my family own a lot of farmland in that village. And uh, this is the bipolar that what we're going to talk about because my
That's
brain
okay.
will just freeze for a second. Um, so you mix the twang with the sayings of a country girl with American radio, and my kids will go, Mom, people don't talk like that. So I say y'all, and anyway, kind of funny. But I I I am bipolar. I have it chronic and severe. It's really, really quite astounding that at 14 years old, when I had my first breakdown, um, that's not that long ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't a thing we talked about. That has been resonating with me as I teach about it, as I do talks about it, as it comes out of my mouth, it kind of kicks me in the head. I'm astounded, right? It's like I'm 45 and mental health is something we talk about now, but when I was 14, that's not that long ago. And we in St. Thomas, Ontario, Canada, which is in between Toronto and London, we have a mental health hospital that was not nice. That's the nice way to put it. And I was put in hospital in 2010. But prior to that, it's weird how you'll know something's wrong with you, so you'll go study it in school. So I'm a social service worker in Canada. It's not a social worker, but it is. There's just certain jobs I'm not allowed to work in, just like I'm a healthcare aide, so I wouldn't be able to fill in as a nurse. It's
Mm-hmm.
different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the treatments that people with a mental illness experienced, it's kind of gross to me to think that in that hospital they had a museum of the types of treatments that were done. The only one that I can really remember, this was as part of my college education to go through this hospital, and little would I know that I would be admitted there 10, 12 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Like putting us in absolutely freezing cold ice baths. Like,
That was a
um,
treatment. That was a
yeah,
treatment.
yeah.
Like, tell
Um,
what they do. They
they
kept you
just
in.
thought that putting you in absolutely freezing cold ice baths was going to do something for you. Um, uh, there's treatment of, I mean, Lenora, maybe you know more about this, but it came across my TV last night, which was lobotomies, like
Oh.
people's brains as a
Mhm.
treatment, because they honestly thought it would make their sick relative better, and it
Mhm.
just made them totally in a vegetative state. So we've come a long way, but I will tell you that, ooh, say 2014, I had the privilege of speaking at a hospital in London, Ontario, and it was to doctors and nurses about my experience. And I really, the point I'm getting at about this, because people with bipolar, if you don't get treatment early, like I fell through the cracks, like I quote, don't look sick, I don't act sick. I mean, unless you're behind closed doors with me when I have an episode, you would just not, it makes me upset, because some of the many psychiatrists I have went through to find the good one that I have, because it was more like a visit, it wasn't, I'm going to treat Stephanie. I'm going to hang out with her because,
Mhm.
um, a lot, so the first thought I wanted to preempt saying that before I said this was, I had, when you are a woman with bipolar, your PMS is brutal. And I would have it, and I can't say that for every woman, but I've heard it more than a few times. And what would happen is I would have my estrogen go all over the place, and I would be erratic and mean and nasty and irritable. And it's called a mixed state. And it's a combination of every nasty, ugly mood. And it's very upsetting, because you become unaware of how you're being. And then I call it come to, and I will tell you, Lenora, I can feel it when my brain goes bleep, and
Okay.
it's like fainting and then becoming awake. And that's the
Mhm.
saddest part, is you become aware of who you just hurt and how much you hurt them. And
Mm.
so in 2014, I was in the hospital, and in 2014, excuse me, 2010, I was admitted. 2014, I had the opportunity to speak to a full 100-room full of nurses and psychiatrists and doctors. And this is what I explained. I took a medication they gave me because I
Mhm.
said I was having trouble with PMS with bipolar. It dropped my blood pressure so low that I woke up in the middle of the night, and I had to go to the bathroom, and all of a sudden everything started to go black, and I was gonna faint. I got down on my hands and knees, yelling, "Help! Help!" The nurses, now, not all nurses are like this, but the point being is there's stigma even on the ward with some of the staff.
Mhm.
And they stood side by side and said, "Get up." And I said, I can't. Everything's black. Please help me. I don't know what's happening. Get up.
Oh.
They took one arm on each side of me and dragged my body to the blood pressure machine. sat me up on the chair like I was a rag doll, put the cuff on me, and yelled, "Run! Get her some orange juice! Hurry! Run!" I said, "I told you." And so I said that. I got goosebumps going up and down my legs. I said that to that room of doctors and nurses and psychiatrists. And I said, I was all dressed up. For all they knew, I was like, I'm gonna wake them up, because I did my hair nice, I had a suit on. I said, just so you know, I'm not a worker today. And if that's what you thought, you are so wrong. And I said, after telling that story, I said, is that the best you can do? You could have heard a pin drop. I said, I am calling on you for better care, better standards. Listen to the person who's not well. And if it, and then I said to myself, Lenora, if this ever happens again, I'm gonna say something. Lo and behold, my family could not come to terms with me being bipolar. My husband, my high school sweetheart, after 14 years of marriage in 2010, stood up at 1 a.m. when they were going to transport me from a nightmare hospital to another one, and just said, bye, I'm done, and left me there. I slept for a week and a half. I'm 5'9", I'm very tall, and I left that hospital 114 pounds.
Ooh.
My dad, I was let out on a day pass, and I couldn't hold up my head. And I'm not against nurses. I'm against stigma.
Well,
And
I just want to say one thing. When you were saying that, as a RN, I worked, because of my hearing disability, I am very limited to where I was able to work. If you didn't know, I have a hearing disability. I don't know if you knew that. But
yeah.
I chose to work with Alzheimer's patients.
Yes.
And because I love that environment. And also in a small little house, it was a house with kids who had mental health issues. And I left there because I could not deal with the way the staff was treated. And it was the hardest thing. If you ask my husband, I spent nights crying. I was like, I can't leave because I'm trying to protect them. Unfortunately, that's the way people who are untrained, and I have to say that I think if you haven't had children, or if you were never faced with some adversity in your life, like two of my kids have epilepsy.
Oh,
so I
boy.
always had to deal with something.
Right.
And my sister, who I named my company after, it's a new Dawn.
Right.
Her name is Dawn, and you know this, I think.
Yes, because my middle name's Dawn.
Right. So the reason I became a nurse in 2011, so this was late, was that she died of cancer within 3 months, and she was very, very heavy. She was 5 feet tall. She was over 200 pounds.
Wow.
But the way she was treated, not by all nurses,
right,
but in the hospital, I saw, this was before I even thought about becoming a nurse, the way they tossed her, the way they wouldn't turn her. You got to turn because they develop bed sores and stuff.
Yeah.
I came in and did stuff like that. And I swore, I said, if I ever became a nurse, I would never treat people like this.
Yeah.
But you know what? I have to tell you, Stephanie, there are very good nurses. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
Disclaimer here. Most nurses are really, really good, are the best. I praise them. But you know what? There are those who they just don't have it. They just are not kind, and they don't have empathy, and they're, it's very, very sad. Very sad. So I am really
Sorry, I interrupted you.
sorry. No, no, no. I'm really sorry that happened to you, but not
Oh,
but.
but
There's
wait,
no but. There's no but.
2016. So here's where I want to say to parents okay, listen, I didn't want to take drugs. I am Miss Health Nut. I own a food company, right? I have in common with you, I lift weights, so I didn't want to take them. And my parents didn't want me to take them. And I need to educate you parents. I don't care what age I am, my mom and dad have an influence. It's just a natural thing in us. Because my mom and dad didn't want to deal with it, I ended up marrying again, but in a manic state, an alcoholic. And so I have had to spend the last 4 years of repairing my relationship with my children because of what they went through having an alcoholic step-parent, right? And if I had the rationale, the self-awareness that I currently have, because I tend to be more manic. Mania is described as, this phrase I use is higher than a kite. I've never done hardcore drugs, thank God. I had a dad who, once upon a time we had a healthy fear of our parents, or a healthy fear of rules and things to keep us safe. And he always said, don't you ever come home drunk or whatever. And so I just never took recreational drugs, more because I was scared.
Mm-hmm.
And also deep down, I did have this sense, when I got depressed, it was black, like it was way black. Sorry, there's a fly.
Stephanie, before you go on, because I know this might be hard for you, because and I apologize for you, but
No.
I know there's different types of bipolar.
Right.
So can you please explain, like, when you say manic and then you go into this deep, I don't know. So,
sure.
I mean, I know from nursing
Right.
learning
Right.
in school, but it's so
Right.
different when I'm sitting in front of somebody who can explain
right.
the differences. So go ahead.
Okay, here's gonna blow your mind. There is a book. Everybody get a pen and paper ready. I'll give you a chance to grab it. But I don't associate with the ideology of bipolar 1 or bipolar 2. I will tell you why. But I actually don't even totally know the definitions. I think bipolar 2 is that to have had mania more than one time. Okay, so here's what I ascribe to, and it's by the direction of 2 respected psychiatrists. So the book is called Bipolar Not So Much, and it's by Dr. Chris Aiken. It's Aiken, and Dr. James Phelps, Phelps. And the subtitle of the book, so it's Bipolar Not So Much. The subtitle is Understanding Your Moods. And I forget the rest of it, but what they teach is this, and it makes sense. Unfortunately, I have a lot of crappy past to unpack. And when you're a child, when you, I know this, and you being a nurse, you can correct me because I'm only going on, what I remember learning in school. But the developing brain of a child is massively impacted when it's going through trauma. And I was sexually abused by my neighbor from the age of 6 to 13. And I absolutely believe that had a traumatic impact on the way that my brain is. I also went through other types of severe abuse, and all the while, and there's research that if you had a tendency to bipolar depression, trauma will bring it on. The difference between personality disorder and bipolar disorder is bipolar is chemically based. Personality disorder is something happened to you, so it appears like bipolar, but that has to be diagnosed by a doctor, a psychiatrist. They have diagnosed me as bipolar disorder with PTSD and ADHD. So they ascribed these two doctors to the idea that bipolar is a spectrum. And the reason that makes more sense to me, instead of plunking me in this pile or this pile, there's every extreme, and then there's a whole bunch of people in between all of that, right? Where do we put them? And I really relate to people with autism, because they have a spectrum anywhere from nonverbal to Asperger's, right? And Asperger's, so I will share with you my experience with bipolar. I can't, like someone with autism, some autistic people can't handle oversensory. So I can't handle strobe lights. I can't handle, I was describing earlier today, because I do reach outs like you, so for example, I own a food company, and I will be, and help me along, Lenora, because I'm bipolar, I jump around. So feel free to interject and help me out if you'd like.
Well, I'm trying not to. I feel that because I do that myself.
Okay.
I'm trying to be quiet. Yes. Because I know how it must feel for me to like butt in. So I'm just going to shut up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
So just so people understand, first of all, you have to see a psychiatrist and get a proper diagnosis. Please do not self-diagnose. That's just my opinion. I also believe that it is a proper thing to say in the medical world. There's a reason why doctors go to school for close to 10 years or whatever it is. I have an excellent psychiatrist, and he is the one who directed me to this book. So that's why I feel like I can really put some weight on it, because he is the head of psychiatry at my hospital. So I feel really good about referring everyone to it. It's the kind of book that you don't read front to back. You read, I'm feeling like this. What do the doctors say about it? And then I'll put
it in the show notes too.
Yeah. I have been treated with different medications, and so there was like 5 years where I was completely, totally manic. Like, I mean, totally high 24/7, to where a doctor wanted to diagnose me as unipolar, which means one mood, right?
So what did you
Um,
do during that time? Like when you were in that manic phase for 5 years, you're probably like, you can't consume enough calories because you're probably burning them off like
oh
crazy,
my
right?
Lord, yeah.
Right. So no, you tell me, because I don't
Um,
know.
since we're not on TikTok, we're not being censored, I can
No,
say
you
that your
can.
sex drive is completely insane. And so
Good?
parents,
Like up?
yes,
Oh, okay. But
but
are you like promiscuous? Are you like, or is that too deep?
um,
Like, I
I,
mean,
I, I I will tell you that it it's not something you can control. Let's put it that way.
okay, I gotcha.
And so I'm telling you, parents with young teens that have diagnosed with this is nothing to mess around with. This isn't some cute little, I found out today my kid is bipolar. You need to research the crap out of this. You need to be your child's best advocate. You need to know the ins and outs of it, because I will tell you, when I walked into my current psychiatrist's office and knew the jargon, and when my current partner, I'm finally in a healthy relationship, said, hello, she's still sick. What are you going to do about it? Because we will no longer accept the lowest common denominator. You need to know everything. That book, Bipolar Not So Much, will be a really great resource for people who, you know what, I speak to the people that are unwell more than I speak to the family. I say to you, if you're watching this, you know how you're feeling. You know how you're doing. Even when I was acting, you know, I could go from giddy to don't F with me in a heartbeat. And it is a very quick, something that is very useful is to do a mood chart for a whole month. Um, what happens in that, you can print them off the internet. When you go into your psychiatrist's office, I did it. I hated it. It was like counting calories on a diet. Like, no, who wants to sit there and write down how their mood went all day? But I did it. When I went into his office, I've only been with Dr. Guyana a couple of years. He said, oh my God, no wonder you're exhausted. You're a rapid cycler, right? So the silent killer of bipolar is that we don't know how to say this. I am probably one of the few people in history who've come out and said, and maybe I should write a book, who've come out and said, if you're changing moods a lot, it's called rapid cycling, and you're holding it in, and you're not be able to tell anybody what's going on because they would have no idea what the heck you're talking about, right? And for me, I describe mania, go, 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 and then my body would go, we're done, and I would collapse, literally collapse.
Yeah, but did
And
you say 5 years though? You said you were like that for 5 years.
yeah, you know what? I was young.
Ugh.
You know how 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds could go.
I guess, but like, what about? You said you weren't into drugs or alcohol or anything like that, so that wasn't a problem, right?
I was addicted
During
to exercising. I had obsessions with food.
okay.
I had a quote perfect body, but that's what I obsessed about, right?
Mhm.
That was my
Mhm.
addiction. My
Mhm.
addiction was how fit can I be? I also I ran a daycare, and I was like friggin' the best daycare provider you would ever meet, right? Like, I
Because
mean,
you can take
I
care of
could
all
do
the kids.
it all. Yeah, I
Yeah,
had
right.
5 1-year-olds in Canada. At the time you were allowed that 5 1-year-olds all, and every single one of those babies got burped and bathed and rocked and fed because I just do it all, right? Like,
Because you weren't worried
um,
about eating or taking a break, like most people are. Like, you probably just went right over the hunger point, and you just flew
yeah,
on energy.
I
Yeah,
would get
I
up.
can.
This is okay. Maybe in the US they didn't have this toy, but there's this toy that I remember growing up with, and you put it inside the reel, and then when you pull it, it goes zing,
Oh, it's a top, like a top.
something like that.
You pull the string, and the thing goes around, like a top.
Yes, yes, it goes
Top.
zing.
Yeah, it's
That's
called a
me.
top.
That was me. When I woke up, I would open my eyes, and I would feel this internal, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then that's how it started. And the sleeplessness, if one of your family members is bipolar, but they're not, I make a joke. I say, I didn't run around naked in the streets calling myself Jesus Christ. Like,
Did you?
I
You did that?
no,
Did you actually do?
I'm just saying, I make that as a joke. I mean, like, I didn't get help. I fell through the cracks
Yeah.
because quote, I was modeling. I was cleaning my house to perfection. I
All
had
right. But for those who say, "Hey, what's bad about that?" Because some may say, "Gee, lose weight. You have energy. You look great. You're like have energy. Blah blah blah." I know the answer, but it's very dangerous. It's dangerous for the heart, the nervous system. You never bring down your nervous system. That is so dangerous. But what's your reasoning? Like the other side of the coin, like
Here's
five
the other
years.
side of the coin. Here's where it's going to hit the heart. My lovely husband who takes good care of me. We've been talking about that. We'll talk about that because without him, I'm not me. Meaning I have to be hospitalized, or I would have to live with my parents. But
Well,
that's
you struck me last night. I have to say, I have to give your husband props. I did not know you were married, and I listened to your TikTok yesterday. I was busy getting my
yes,
vitamins, and I'm listening, and it was a TikTok where you're like, "Hey, is tomorrow Friday?" And your
yeah,
husband's like, "Tomorrow's Saturday," or
yeah,
something. I'm not
yeah.
saying verbatim. And
No, no, you're right. I have to take in my pills.
I have my pill box, and I would have taken Saturday's vitamins or Saturday's meds for Friday, which would have been detrimental. And your husband's like, "No, babe," or whatever.
Yeah,
He sounds really calm and cool
yeah.
and collected.
It's a normal
And
thing.
right. But thank God, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
because you know
that
what I did twice this month? They make me groggy, and I went into the kitchen and I took my night meds. This was like only a week and a half ago, and I was toxic because I
yeah.
took my night meds only 8 hours later.
Yeah. Right.
Dangerous. But
Yeah.
back to your question about being what's bad about it. Here's what's bad about it, okay? Here's what's bad about it. I used to have women say to me, I don't want to be your friend because you make me look bad. And
I see that.
here's where I need you to get it. I need you who are listening to get this. If you are sick, or you think that what I have, being manic, is a gift, you're wrong. Because my daughter, who's 18 now, at 5 years old, could not go a half an hour without calling me. because she was so worried that something was going to happen to me.
Oh.
Let me put into perspective a 7-year-old after my body will not go anymore because you physically, like Hitler used sleep deprivation as a form of torture.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay? It's serious stuff. And
serious shit.
yes. And it's serious because if you have a family member and you just go, oh, that's mom, she doesn't sleep, that's not good. If I go 10 hours a day, plus I can't slow down at night, that's a brain chemical imbalance. And when I would crack, you know, I didn't go to the hospital. I'm too pretty for them to keep me.
Mm.
And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I'm making a point.
Mm-hmm.
How sick did I have to be taken seriously? I remember being 19, walking into a merge with my boyfriend saying, I want to die. And it took them 6 hours to just figure out, no, she doesn't. Well, I didn't slit my wrists because I really don't want to die, but I don't like feeling this way. And it did, that's freaking 25 years I'm talking, okay, of suffering. And there's my 7-year-old daughter, and I've got bronchitis and sinusitis and the puking, gagging flu, because when you go that hard, your body can't keep up, and so your immune system is suppressed, and I'm puking in a bucket. And my 7-year-old daughter, I could just see it in her eyes. It's my job to look after mommy. And she'd go get a blanket and she'd cover me up. And when my new husband came into my life, I had to make a decision, and she was only 14, and she stopped seeing me because she was so devastated, because she thought it was her job to take care of me. When I took that away from her, she hated me for it because it's all she knew.
Yeah.
It's not right. It's not right, you know?
Stephanie, you did the best. You did the best you could, hon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You did the best you could.
And so mania, it should scare you if you see that in a person. And and you know what? Okay, like let me make this clear. I am not cured. They treat my symptoms. Okay? I'm not cured. They treat the symptoms. If you and I are at a party right now, I would have you peeing yourself laughing, because I go into a state of what they call hypomania. And when I am around high energy, funny people, I have almost, like, I could use the word allergic reaction, like I feed off of what's happening, and I go into a hypomanic state. And the one thing I wanted to say was this about the unipolar is, when I dropped, I go into a deep depression because you're so exhausted. And then you go into self-hatred and shame and all that, because you just physically can't get off the couch. You don't have the strength. Like, I missed half a year in college because my mom had to come and bath me. Yeah. You know, stuff like and I don't blame anymore my husband for leaving me, my high school sweetheart who I had my children with, because there's not enough support for family. There's not support to say, you just want to choke her, and that's okay. To acknowledge that. You
Yeah.
just want to slap her because she just
Yes.
drives you up the wall. You love her, but the disease is just so all consuming that you just did not know what you were signing up for.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You're supposed to love your kids, and I love my kids unconditionally, but I can't tell you in 15 years when I was in therapy for my abuse, my one son, who I dearly love, we get along like better than anyone else. I mean, he's weird like me. But he, I would say in the therapist, is it wrong to feel this way about my son? Because
Yeah.
I just couldn't take it anymore. He was just,
Yep.
but he wasn't right. He wasn't right.
Yep.
And at that time, I wasn't right either to equip
Right.
with how I was supposed to handle him at that time. But
Yeah.
it is okay. We're human, and you know, we got to support each other. We got to be a community, and we got to support each other. This is why I'm doing this with just regular quote unquote people, because I just feel like even if one person can connect to this, it's worth it. It's worth it anyway to sit with you. It's getting long when people don't have an intention span, unfortunately,
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
sit.
Yeah. We'll
But
do it again.
before we end though, there's
Yeah.
a couple of things. How are you now? Like, do you have the right mix of meds? It's like a chemistry set, right? Like when
Oh,
you get
yeah.
it right, you might have to change it up again. Like, right? Is that right or no? Am I wrong?
Okay, so I've been on tons of different types of meds. I'm on the perfect mix right now. Long story short, my husband is super, super intelligent and has helped me realize that I'm intelligent, because when you have a disability, you're treated as dumb because you're, like you say, weird. But I sat back and I thought, I'm intelligent. What's happening in my body? And so I had this idea, if my estrogen is all over the place, then why don't we get rid of it? And then, like diabetes, take a certain amount of insulin, put my estrogen back in at a certain level. And that has been a lifesaver. And I'm proud I came up with that.
That's really cool. Sure.
And then, yeah, I'm on a lot of meds. I'm looking to the side because I'm looking at them. I'm on a
Okay.
lot of meds. And I just quickly want to say, sidebar, another time we'll talk about it. Don't allow your family member to get stable and then we're going to take them off all this crap. No.
I know. I
That's a
know.
whole
I
other thing we
know.
can talk about, but please don't do that. I if your hormones change, if your life changes, my business is doing very well. So because I am
Can
the
you talk
face,
about your business? Talk about your business also. I don't want to forget that, because
right.
that's big. And also, are you working as a social worker now, or?
I'm doing what you're doing for free. I'm
Okay.
talking to people one-on-one to give them hope, to make it make sense, because this illness doesn't make sense, doesn't get talked about. My doctor actually is excited that once we're able to get back together, he's like, I'd love for you to, I couldn't believe, he's like, I need you on staff. Like, because it's one thing for me to tell a client, a patient, it's another for a patient to tell a patient. But my business is livingalivegranola.ca. If you're from the United States, enroll in our email. Pretty soon I'm gonna be able to ship directly to your house. I can't work for anyone else. I have to work for myself. So if you're like fed up with your family member that can't seem to hold a job, hello, I'm trying not to go too long here, but we'll talk about that another time. You know, I'm just sorry to tell you, most of the time, that's just the way it is. Because when my brain's tired, I mean, I could work really hard, and then I'll be in a grocery store, and all of a sudden, it's like you press the computer off without shutting it down properly. I will just stand there stunned. It's almost like I'm floating, and the lights of the store, the colors, the sounds. You know, I just don't know what to do. There's 12 things to choose. And my husband will call me and say, where are you? And I need you to start walking out of the store. I need you to get in the car. And I literally need that prompting. It's like I'm stuck, like, you know, vinyl records are back in is cool. So I'm stuck on the vinyl record, you know. So so unfortunately, the faster I go with my business, the more medications I've had to take lately. We're trying to solve that. I'm trying to work hard enough that I can hire someone to be me so that I have more time. So, yeah.
So where can people, because there's a couple of things, everybody. I'm going to do my little spiel, but my thought was Stephanie sings and she writes music, and I wanted her to have, you know, trail us off with one of her songs, but I do want to hear the whole thing. But I want you to explain why you're going to do this particular song. But
Sure.
before we do this, because what we're going to do is we'll play the song, and it'll be like our goodbye. So just be prepared. I'll end the recording. But before that, where can people get in touch with you?
You can email me, Stephanie at livingalive.today. I named my food company Living Alive Granola because I think food should be living and real, just like you. So Stephanie is spelled with a PHANIE at.
And I'm gonna have all this in the show notes, guys.
Cool.
So
livingalive.today. You can find me on Facebook, Stephanie Brown.
And your TikTok.
And my TikTok is Stephanie Brown 1975. That makes it nice and easy. And also on my business page at Living Alive Granola. Please, I'm really trying to grow that page. Come and support me there, everyone. I'd really appreciate it.
So wait, business page
at Living Alive Granola.
At Living, and I'm going to be asking you all this when we end, so I make sure I get everything right.
Sure.
All right, I'll do my little spiel. Hang out.
Yep.
All right, so at the end of every podcast, you guys, if you've been with me, you can kind of put some earplugs in because I'm just going to do my spiel. So all my info will be in the notes below, but I do want to give out my Google number in case anybody wants to text me with any show ideas, anybody who wants to be on the show, any feedback about the show, wants to get in touch with me to work with me as far as nutritional counseling, personal training, yoga, Reiki, 609-429-4058. And then I talk about the only thing that I promote on the show. I'm an ambassador and affiliate of the Rawr bar company. It's a nutrition bar. We are all on the go, so it's really nice to put in your purse or briefcase or whatever. Owned by Jake and Rachel, very young couple based out of Minnesota. They do everything themselves, so it's a very small run place. They give 10% of all their net proceeds to feed the hungry children worldwide. That was one of the number one reasons why I was like, of course I'll be an ambassador. But not only that, 11 to 13 net carbs in each bar. We have like 19 to 21 grams of protein, no artificial sweeteners. They are vegan, but I'm not vegan, but they fit any type of diet. Put together by coconut oil, sweetened by coconut nectar, blackstrap molasses, and they have Himalaya salt in there. The only non-organic ingredient is the almond butter, but they are trying to make that organic. That's my spiel. What are you going to do for us, and explain why you are going to lead us off with this song?
Okay, so I am a retired musician, but I do write for self-development, relaxation, and also to help out causes. And this there is a movement called Courage for Freedom, and they on Instagram say take a stand by joining their hashtag eradicate challenge to eradicate the buying and selling of children in Canada. I am honored to say that the person that created this whole thing, Kelly Franklin, is one of my best friends, and she's your people, Lenora. She is in the middle of the night going to get a girl to get them, and these aren't bad girls. Some of these girls are literally grabbed off the street at 11 years old, and it's happening in Canada and the United States. And so all of a sudden your little girl goes missing, and you can't tell me she asked for it. So this song I wrote, I wrote it for her. She inspired it. So I just have to figure out a way. So I'll make sure I can set up my, because I'm gonna play. Can you hear me okay still?
I can hear you, but before we start to play, I just want to thank you so much for being on the show with me. I am very honored, along with all the guests that I have on. And for everybody out there, I always end with, have a wonderful and blessed day, everybody. You know, I love you. And Stephanie, take it away.
Okay. All right. This song's called Never Home Again because if you ever listen to a survivor, they're sometimes abducted and they wonder if they're ever going to be able to go home again. And some of them have a hard time going home again because it becomes all they know. And they find it hard to be set free from it. So that's the work that they're doing, trauma work. One of my medications makes my eyesight blurry, so I'm going to put on my glasses.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You're beautiful in your glasses.
I have a name. I used to be someone who used to know who I was, but slowly I'm slipping away. I have a past. How long will this last? It happens so fast. Now I'm slowly slipping away. They sold me love, fragile like glass. Felt alive at last, but slowly he took it away. Will someone save me? 'Cause I'm slowly fading away. No, I'm not okay anymore. I am trapped in this nightmare of shame. Broken my faith, never home again. Never home again. Never home again. I never sleep. I know I'm in too deep. Does my family still love me? Forever slowly slips away. People look and stare. This just isn't fair. Does anyone care? but I'm slowly slipping away. Will someone save me? 'Cause I'm slowly fading away. I know I'm not okay anymore. I am trapped in this nightmare of shame, broken by pain, never home again, never home again. Never home again. Like a whisper in the dark, someone reached out with their hand, and they saved me, 'cause I was slowly fading away. And now I'll be okay once again. I am free from this nightmare and shame, healing my pain. I'm going home again, going home again. Finally home again.
Beautiful, Stephanie. Thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're
You're a
welcome.
blessing. You are a blessing.
You too. Thank you. Good night.
Okay. Good night, love. Thank you.
You're welcome.